Well, I don't. Wait. Let me try again. Hey, how's it going?
Functioning.
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 Examples of functioning. Navigational sensors aren't functioning. Glad to see you still fully functioning.
So at this point, Jason, like you're still are you do you have it in your mind like I want to do martial arts?
Yes.
And so the way that the hangovers worked, at least for me, was yeah, like you said, the discipline gets chipped away until there's basically nothing left.
Mm-hmm.
How were you trying to reconcile that when you were still trying to train every day?
A lot of times I just still trained.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I mean,
That's
I was, if there is, I haven't won world titles or anything like that, but I did have Carlson Gracie Sr., which again, for our jiu-jitsu nerds, for our non-jiu-jitsu nerds, the Gracie family changed martial arts history by having these big tournament or having these challenge matches against other martial artists. And they were the ones that started the UFC, and put one of their own family members in, and he won the first 3 of the first 4 and became a living legend and changed martial arts. That made us go, oh, it's instead of getting punched in the face, you can drag somebody to the ground and strangle them. Oh, that's cool. That's a way better way to fight.
They're really good at advertising and marketing.
Yeah, and they were really good at advertising. I trained under Carlson Gracie Sr. when I first moved here, and then when he passed away, I earned my purple, brown, and black belt from Junior, and I still am mentored by Junior. I'm in what's considered an affiliate. But Carlson Gracie Sr. was known for taking these poor kids from the favelas and making them savages. During a time when in Brazil, these guys that were teaching jiu-jitsu, they were teaching his family and some other guys that get lost in history, unfortunately. They were only training movie stars and big money people. That's the only way that you were able to learn martial arts. Kind of like when Bruce Lee was getting big, he was only training like Steve McQueen and big movie stars. Smart move. Have an expensive clientele. You work less hours, and you can do whatever you want more, right? So not a terrible idea, but Carlson Sr. being the person that he was, so history tells, and so people tell me when I went to Brazil, they told me these stories and many stories about him that were mythical, that he would purposely take these poor kids from the favelas, train them and say, look, be a good person outside of here, and we will win these tournaments, and I'll make you something successful other than some number in a poor neighborhood in Brazil. And now you will not watch a UFC without seeing someone in the corner who's either a Carlson black belt or a black belt of a Carlson black belt. His reach has been worldwide. And he told me one time when we were training, he used to pick everybody out to spar. Like I don't really do. Sometimes I do that, but a lot of times I'm just like, go spar, go grab a partner and go. If you don't want to train with someone, just kindly ask them not to and go. Senior likes to pick his matches out. He puts his hand on my shoulder and he goes, he was picking a partner for me, and he goes, Jason Bender, you trained this morning 6 a.m. I said, yes, sir. You trained at noon today? Yes, sir. You trained too much. Sit down. Because he knew, he was like, this is the way you're going to get hurt, dummy. Like our bodies can only take so much, So again, my personality being undiagnosed variations of attention, who knows what, and being the kid with too much energy and all this.
You would say like maybe hyperactive?
Sure, whatever. I don't like labels, bro. I like to just work with my shit.
Deficient of attention.
Sure.
And hyper. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Whatever. I don't care. I just do my thing. And, but I could as hard as I would party, my goal was to experience all of life, which was really what led to me partying in the first place. Was I was like, I want to be, the Michael Jordan of martial arts, but I also want to be all of Motley Crue on the Saturday, which I kind of thought I could do. I was arrogant enough to be like, hell yeah, I'm going to go to the UFC and party my ass off on the weekends, but no, you can't do that. I mean, you can, some people do, athletes can obviously have those, but it's tougher nowadays. Mm-hmm. It's a lot tougher nowadays for somebody to have a substance abuse issue and be the highest level of whatever sport that they're in. It's just, it's except for steroids. Oh, jiu-jitsu is just, you can smell the TRT when you go to tournaments. It's amazing.
So then what was the moment then? What made it click for you where you were going, okay,
exactly. Like, so you're showing up to class, you're still, or to jiu-jitsu, you're still hungover. When was enough, right? Sorry, Tom, I kind of took your question.
No, that's exactly what I was asking.
Angie and I had been married for a little while. I don't know. She can tell you. She's going to be your guest soon. She's lined up to be a guest. She can
Angie
give you
will be on next.
The details of things. And
she's the archivist of the Bender family.
Yeah, she's the accountant, the interior designer. She's my everything. She really does. She fills in all the things that I'm not. That's for sure. And I'll leave some of the story to her, but I was done and she wasn't, and it was helping me see that I wanted to be done, because I wanted to spend more quality time with her, and I could see that our quality time was definitely being diminished by being at the bar past X time. And things like that. Now, I can't really put like a day on it or anything. It was just a gradual thing where I was done. Again, I don't know how to explain it. I felt like at a certain point, I beat the video game. I had some really good times. I crossed the T's. I dotted the I's. I had some kind of rock star weekends. Some weekends that were where I'm like, even in the moment, I was like, this is pretty rock and roll right now. This is pretty rad. And a couple that were like, this is pretty fear and loathing in Las Vegas. This is pretty fear and loathing. Well, this is scary. But that kind of helped me get through those moments. This is pretty, I mean, when I first came here to party, like I was just at this house party and I was dancing with some girls. No idea how I got this. The person that brought me to this house party was like, see you later. I'm like, see you later. I didn't even live here yet. And a guy ran at me because apparently I was with this girl. I knew nowhere to go. So I ran up to the bathroom and locked the door. And I'm like, and this is probably like a 6 a.m. house party where I don't even know anybody. Why are you even here? Why are you dancing? Why is this random guy dancing with my girlfriend? Yeah. And I was on all of the drugs. And it was like, even in the moment, I'm like, this is scary, but kind of hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, I was like, if this is how I go, this is how I go. What a story, And I didn't think that he was going to murder me. I don't know. I didn't have that. I just didn't feel like it was my time to go. And as I'm leaving, I'm like, this is going to be a crazy story someday.
And here you are telling it.
Here I am telling it. Yeah. I think that was a night that I passed out in my car and just woke up in some random sleep off place in Chicago where they take people that pass out in their cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your sobriety was motivated by your love for Angie? Like it was just this developing love that you were...
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. That, yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to hang out with her more and not have it be...
Have more clarity while you were with her.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was just like, this is going to stand in the way of us having a happier life. And it's not...
So you saw that, because for me, my sobriety, when I got sober, it was like the prophecy has come true. Like I knew that this was coming for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you saw. You saw like that this is not a sustainable lifestyle. This is like disrupting your discipline. This is disrupting your relationships, the things that you love.
The story has been told, right?
Yeah.
Where, there's a reason why we should all look to one of the greatest actors of our day, Pauly Shore.
Mm.
Why doesn't Pauly Shore party? Do you know?
I didn't know that Pauly Shore didn't party. That's really
So
against his whole.
You know who his mother is, right?
Yeah, she owns the comedy
Obviously,
store.
right? You guys are comedy guys. She's like, for those of you listeners that don't know, she's like, she's the person who owned the comedy store, who gave a lot of comedians literally the stage to become the greatest comedians of all time. And the place is still to this day, kind of a mecca, right? For comedy. Forgive me if I'm wrong.
No, for sure.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So Pauly Shore, he's like, dude, why? I saw Sam Kinison die. I saw people just lose their minds. He saw the worst of it. So he was like, I'm good. Whereas I saw just enough of it to say, to be like, well, I'm not going to do that kind of partying, like just drinking Bud Lights nonstop and getting in fights on a country road. That's too dirtbag. Doing cocaine in Chicago with the people you want to do it with, that's a different thing.
Intentional partying. Yeah.
You got to do it right.
Exactly.
But, that was my jam. That was my judgment. Where it was just more rock and roll than just getting drunk off of Bud Lights. But again, no judgment. Although
because it's still with that theme of just like
experiencing life at a higher level.
Yeah, I was about to say drinking up life, but it seems wrong. But yeah, like just getting all of it, like just trying to get it all, and you want it all, you want everything, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
I want to experience all the things that are not going to ultimately lead to my death. And I didn't feel like I was ever gonna die of my partying, even though obviously there were several times when I could, and if fentanyl was around when I was a kid, when I was partying, I mean, I'm sure I would have gotten a bad batch and been dead. I drove on a stormy night one night while drunk, and I was going slow enough to where nothing happened. But I bent a guy's tailgate, and he was like, "Get out of here and get safe." He could see that, my eyes were big and all this. And he was like, he was a nice enough guy. I'm like, again, that taught me a lesson where I was like, oh, I got away with one. Little things like that where I was like, okay, all right. You check that off the list, right? Oh, you got away with one driving. You're good. You can't.
It's like a numbers game.
Yeah, you can't play that card again.
Yeah. There's only so many. The odds.
Yeah, the odds aren't in your favor anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. That's interesting. Yeah, because Jody and I, like, we lived in Atlanta where you have to drive everywhere. Mm-hmm. And at some point you kind of have to like tap and just say, all right, I've driven home drunk this amount of times, and I've been lucky that amount of times. Mm-hmm. How many more times can I get lucky like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how many times, and there's also cops everywhere in Atlanta. And so it's also trying to not get the DUI as well. I mean, not just like wrecks and the murders and things like that. But at some point when you're living that dirtbag life and you're like, well, I got $10 to my name, and if I go to jail, I'm going to lose that $10 and much, much more. And so it's at some point you can't keep it up.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gotten a couple of DUIs myself. So it's just like, it's the third one. And I think in Georgia, the third one, you go to jail for a year. I think that's what it was. So I had 2 and I was like, okay, well, I'm hitting my punch card here. And that's, that's a life-changing event that I would never be able to recover from.
Well, even the first one is pretty,
the first one was bad. I don't remember, but I got the first one in college. So it was kind of like just a college dude, and it was in a college town, and I was just being rambunctious. The second one was actually when I was in portfolio school, and I had my court date the day before I had to leave for Chicago. And then I had to do all of my stuff. And I was like, oh, this is like career ending. Like I just worked super hard to get my career going. And now I got a DUI. If I get one more, it's fucked. So when I moved to Chicago, my solution to this was not to quit drinking. It was to sell my car. And so then I don't get a DUI. I can just ride the trains and the buses and stuff like that.
Same mentality I had moving to New York. Like I'll get rid of all of that extra stuff.
Can't get a DUI if you don't drive, but you can keep drinking.
I'm just gonna drink and get on a train, and I'll occasionally get beat up, but at least it's not a DUI.
Yeah. So okay, back to the subject at hand, which is just this, I guess, like how martial arts is speaking to your recovery journey. But it seems like it was more of your relationship with Angie, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, definitely going to say for sure. But it was also, let's be honest here, I knew that it was at a certain point hypocritical and detrimental to what I wanted to do. Like, you can't teach health and fitness and be I don't think you can be a 40-year-old who gets absolutely obliterated on Saturday nights and teach health and fitness and martial arts. It's quite the opposite. So it felt very hypocritical. I tried not to lie to my clients. If I canceled, I tried to actually let them know, just, hey, went out last night, because I don't want to lie to people. Yeah. I don't want it to be weird. But of course, every once in a while, you got to do what you got to do. Not proud of that. Maybe to the boss at the gym instead. But I tried not to ever cancel classes. I tried to always make sure that I didn't mess that up. But yeah, just at a certain point, you're just tired of disappointing other people and yourself. One of my old clients even said it flat out to me. He goes, I like Jason a lot more when he's not drinking. And I'm like, wow, ouch,
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty powerful. Like, I know that it could, the probably couldn't have been super easy for him to say, I would imagine. At least I hope it wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, I know that even when you're not drunk, when you're actively drinking, your personality is just like completely terrible.
That's the song. The same thing. Did you guys grew up with Leonard Skinner or no?
Yeah.
The song, Ooh, That Smell. That smell is not, hey, that smell surrounds you. People have joked around that it's the smell just circling, it's a pot circle or something. No, if you listen to the words, he's saying, ooh, that smell that surrounds you. He's saying that, yes, just what you're saying. You get an aura. Like, people can smell the alcohol, people can smell the cigarettes, they can smell the drugs, people can like feel it. They can feel the energy and all this stuff. So again, Juggalos and Leonard Skinner, who would have thought?
Yeah. I've never analyzed a Leonard Skinner song so deeply.
I grew up loving Leonard Skinner. I know they're kind of tipped over.
No, we're from the South. They're the best. They're the best.
They're okay.
Where I come from,
we can't. I'm not going to back Leonard Skinner. The music is great, but politically, they are god awful. So let's just say
for sure. But
in the 70s, they were the best in the 70s.
Oh, I mean,
not politically. It's just,
again, hey, how much of our art are we going to throw away because of problematic people? We'd have
if I'm on the lake or if I'm tubing down the Chattahoochee, I want to listen to Leonard Skinner. I'm just saying, I don't know if we should, as a podcast, let's talk about how much we.
You know what, Jody? Get an editor, and then we can get this out of here.
So that's been another thing that Angie has.
Werner Herzog.
Angie, being my editor, she has with Gene Shorts has gone Leonard Skinner and CCR.
What?
Yeah,
CCR is the.
We got rid of CCR.
Yeah, she's like, no, there's no CCR in this household. That's a rule.
I'm gonna have to talk to Angie, I guess.
What are you gonna listen to?
I'm gonna get you back in Gene Shorts. Get you back.
Yeah, what do you listen to when you're like hanging out in a houseboat?
We don't go on houseboats hardly ever. And the last time we were on a houseboat was my cousin's. Well, it wasn't a houseboat. It was his pontoon up in Michigan. My cousin Dale's boat, and he was playing whatever he wanted, and it was just the basic local stations. Rock. He was actually listening to rock, I think, if I remember right. Yeah. I
mean, CCR and pontoons like peanut butter and jelly.
It is absolutely. I was actually kind of surprised he wasn't playing country music to annoy me, because it was a joke growing up that I hated and still do hate country music. Even ones that are like, well, you gotta like, and I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Some people have just like a visceral reaction to country music.
My visceral reaction to country music is something that I've like really had to dissect and work on and like try to be like, why can't you be more zen about that? Then I'm like, no, I need something to hate. And this is something my soul has told me from day one that this is dog shit to my ears. Just go with it, man. And yeah, and it's just only gotten more reinforced, especially in recent years that I was like, see, I was right.
Country music sucks.
Country music is not only crap, it makes you do stupid shit on a certain day in January.
Oh yeah. I mean, we can't. Okay, we might be able to blame country
Well,
music.
Yeah,
I wonder,
I'm
like,
absolutely.
if I hadn't been so in love with country music in high school, would I have romanticized being a dirtbag that early on in life?
You could have went to Motley Crue, bro.
I don't know if that.
You could have went to some good music.
Those are both jean short
Oh
genres.
yeah,
Honestly,
I could have. That's yeah. We should meet in the middle with our jean shorts. We should band together instead
And
of
Predator
hating each
handshake.
other.
You got a Predator handshake that shit.
Yeah, that's right.
Country music and Motley Crue definitely. There's a Venn diagram in which they exist.
And
Unfortunately,
in the middle of them is a juggalo. And
That's
that brings us together.
true. It's beautiful. That is beautiful, Tom.
well done.
So I wanted to go back though. You just mentioned this briefly. You were partying while teaching.
Yeah, I was teaching fitness. Yeah,
Oh man,
yeah.
that
And
sounds exhausting.
some kickboxing classes for hobbyists. You know, I wasn't like a kickboxing coach, we'll say, but I was, I was teaching people how to really do the things that we, real Muay Thai, real boxing, and things like that. But yeah, I was trying to, most of the time, I was keeping it relegated to weekends and trying not to, or Saturdays, and trying not to let it interfere. But then after a while, of course, like I said, it did, and then that's when I felt like it was game over, man.
How did you feel like when you were like you gradually were going like this is not good? I want to spend more time with Angie, and I want to like really be more devoted to martial arts. How did that feel when you were like leaving that lifestyle behind? How did like the rest of your life kind of follow suit?
Oh, it was like the proverbial, just like taking off the weight. You know what I mean? I don't want to. It's so hyperbolic and so whatever, but it's the easiest thing to say. It was like taking off a backpack that was full of rocks, and like, boom, we just took off. Angie started her own business. I started training literally 7 days a week, training people 7 days a week instead of the 5 days a week. And again, burnout, not the best to glorify burnout culture, but I don't know. Part of me says you should probably burn out sometimes. Get over it. Oh, you're burning. You're burning out doing the thing that you're really passionate about. Shut up.
That's that heart. That's like you're chasing down. I mean, you're pushing it hard and doing it well.
I want every single one of my students to eventually be told you're overtraining. Back off. I should have to tell. I mean, in a beautiful world as a martial arts instructor, that would be the only like coaching to do is to go, hey, Jody, you're going to get injured if you keep training this hard. But no, what do you think most of my job is? You want to guess?
That to me.
Most of my job is, where you been? I care about you. You make a great training partner here. People have asked about you. I don't want to pressure you.
You have said that to me.
Yeah.
Several times.
Yeah. And it's like, the good news is anytime I do any of that, I literally just let my thumbs go. My brain my heart just goes into that text and says honest things. I never want it to be, I don't copy and paste something. I could, like as a business owner, I could be like the missing student text, where you been? Da, da, da. No, I just try to make it honest and heartfelt that I really want that person there. And if I didn't want them there, if I really don't want them there, I'm not texting you. So I really do want a room full of people that I really like, and that is one of the only downsides to having one of my business policies be that that people are paying month to month, because somebody could just on November 1st be I'm not going to train this month. I got things to do, or just not, you know what I mean? And
but
as a business,
it gives them that freedom to, be able to do that. Because then when you get in a subscription thing, it's like, now I'm obligated.
Yeah. I didn't want that grossness of obligating folks to sign a contract at a jiu-jitsu school. That just seems really gross to me. No offense to anyone that does it, just personal preference. And then
I mean, my first class was actually, I think my first month was free, and then you gave me a gi. Well, my first,
No,
never mind. But I do remember that you gave me like a gi top my first class, and I was like, "Do you want this back?" And you're like, "No, take it home, wash it, and when you come back, wear it a couple of times, and when you get your own gi, just give it to me." And that's exactly what I did. So I think I had that gi for a month or so. And then eventually I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Because a gi is like $100. And that's, it's kind of like, oh, now I'm going to start investing. Because otherwise it's just going to sit in my closet.
Right.
And so you gave that kind of like, that honest, heartfelt, like I care about you thing. And then another thing that you did that really sold me in was a couple of months doing it. Not even, maybe a month in. I had this very icky feeling about it because it was really hitting a lot of my trauma responses. It was really like triggering me in a lot of different ways. And I was like unsure if I wanted to keep doing it. And you did one of your little things like, hey, you haven't been in a while. And like, I'm just thinking about you. Barely knew me. And then I told you that. And then you're like, yeah, that's super common. And you like talked me through it in a way that was I was receptive to, and also felt like you understood, and that you genuinely cared. And that I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing jujitsu for the rest of my fucking life. Damn it. And it really just like, it kind of just showed something I've never really seen, even in my own friendships at the time. But not especially from like some fitness jujitsu thing that I was like thinking about trying at the time. You know what I mean? So definitely that heart conveys in. And I know now, after knowing you for a couple of years, that's helped a lot of people that are at the gym, that you've done that a lot. And it makes a huge difference. Cause I've looked at other gyms and they'll have like subscription emails that they send out that are like motivational. And then you send yours out and it's like, I can tell that you wrote this morning, and it's like pertaining to a lot of the stuff that you talk about in class. It's not just some like generic quote, that comes out of nowhere.
Now you see why I get furious when people don't read the emails. The joke during the academy this week is I sent out a couple.
You got to block out your text, and you got to bold the important information so I can scan it.
Everything would be bold then, because it's all important.
Like you need an editor.
Yeah, maybe. Tom, with your newsletter, same suggestion. Those things are dense. Sorry, it's just I know how to write an email.
I hate you so much.
They're 10 minutes long. I don't know.
I make sure that the email is read by one scroll. And if you're...
Yeah, I don't do that.
No.
That's what so anybody that says that this is too long is full of shit and lazy.
I mean, being lazy is definitely true.
They're not too long. They're not too long. I will stick up for my emails. Angie says
just bold the important.
Angie says they're too long too.
Speaking of, where for all emails and stuff, like where's the website? What is the name of your location? How can people find you?
The name of your location?
I was going to say Dojo, and then I thought, what if I sound like an idiot?
No, we call it the location.
Yeah, we call it the location.
So, Tom, we call the location just the gym.
The gym.
Just
or the academy.
Think about that.
Or the academy.
The academy. I usually call it the academy. I like the academy. I like the academy because it's a little pretentious, but we're learning. I like the idea of it being academic, not just the gym. That you go to work out at the gym. You can go in and do bicep curls at the gym and go home. Nothing wrong with bicep curls. Because as a current UFC fighter said, my cholesterol was out of control, but I had big biceps, so it was worth it. Nicky Rod.
But when you say gym, you're sort of like
right. It's
giving
a different
people are like,
animal.
oh, you go to like LA Fitness, and it's
Bingo.
like it's more about like a vanity thing and less of a.
Whereas when you go to an academy, you are a part of the process. You are not just the student, right? When you're if you think academy, you are also a TA. You are right. Everybody in my academy, after 6 months, is a TA. Maybe less, maybe more, but give or take, after 6 months, you can be a TA to the new person coming in. You can tell them to do the most basic falls. You can tell them how to do the stand-up. But the gym, you can show up, do your bicep curls, and leave.
Yeah,
right?
Keep your headphones in. You don't even have to talk to anybody.
Dojo, it seems a little, again, I don't want to be beyond pretentious. Nothing wrong calling your place a dojo. I have friends that call my place the dojo. My judo instructor calls my academy the dojo. I believe my karate instructor also calls it the dojo. No problems with that at all.
Well, at the location, we wear jorts and listen to juggalo music, so it's probably a little different than the academy.
We do. Today was like Tears for Fears and the Human League and things like that. Like we will. What's hilarious is
last week we listened to Linkin Park.
Yeah,
and if I were to think about my life in my 30s, when I was 14, doing jujitsu or martial arts while listening to Linkin Park is exactly how I pictured my life.
Nice.
It was very much like, oh yes, I have done everything right.
What I love is we have Coach Blaine is one of the sweetest human beings you will ever meet in your life. He will, he's a great guy. He's been a friend of mine a long time. He's our wrestling coach at the academy. He's also 6'4", 245 with my waist size, and he wrestled. He made it to Olympic trials. He also got an offer from Vince McMahon for the WWE and turned it down.
Whoa.
There's videos of him going through the tryouts and just smoking guys and just like guys like, I'm tired, and Blaine going, I'm warm. He's just a beast. But he will unironically start a class and put on like Disney songs. Yeah. I think the Hercules song, whatever that is, like makes him, it's like me if I hear, I don't know, like it might be like my version of Eye of the Tiger, I guess, you know what I mean? Like, although Eye of the Tiger is kind of corny.
Pumps him up? That's his
walk-on
song?
Yeah.
Is it the Make a Man Out of You?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't know. I was too old for Hercules. Maybe I should watch it. I don't know. But yeah, it's quite hilarious. And then my friends and my friend Ron, who was there today for Bob's Belt promotion, when he was teaching on Friday nights, we would unironically, again, play Sarah McLachlan. And the whole class was like, you could feel like certain people were like, what is going on? And Ron and I were just like trying to strangle each other. Want to live, Celine Dion.
Well, when we were at Seraphine's, they played Sinead O'Connor.
I was
like,
yeah.
I gotta stop. I can't move right now.
And it was like a live acoustic version too. It was like a special.
It was intense.
Yeah,
it really got me. It was like,
yeah, jiu-jitsu guys and gals are really weird. Like, and that's the beauty of it, is we're all just, especially after a while, you get so comfortable with like strangling another person that is your friend while, again, listening to silly music and whispering in their ear. And
I think it's interesting too, because I think a lot of, when I tell people I do jujitsu, I think they immediately imagine this very bro-y sort of culture.
Which it can be. It depends on what gym you go in, where
you're at. But I feel like it's like they think they're immediate, like Joe Rogan, UFC, angry, aggressive stuff. But since I've been in it, it is the exact opposite. Everyone's there for a reason. Everyone is there to overcome something. And maybe that's also, that's partly because most of the people I roll with are like in their 30s or above. But, even some of the younger guys, like it seems like they're trying to prove themselves, or they all have their own motivations or whatever it is. And they're all like, they all have a certain vibe of strangeness that I was like really into. It's kind of like comedy, like something motivates people to get up on stage. There's like something in your heart that like, that's the thing I'm going to do. And that's just, I find those two things, possibly because they're so absolutely humiliating, to like, they have that same vibe. And that's why there's a lot of comedians that actually do jujitsu too. But it's like, there's such a odd culture. It's like weirdos. Fun and weird and like goofy. Like I was cracking jokes today while like trying to choke out my friend at the same time. It's just like, it's fun. It's exact opposite of what I think culturally where it stands,
Yeah, one of my favorite, like somebody talking trash while getting their butt kicked story is Coach Cruz, owner of Lakeside Jiu-Jitsu, and he teaches at our academy on Tuesday nights. He's a friend of mine. We got our black belts on the same day.
Yeah, he's great. Lakeside,
great guy. He's one of my good friends that I admire and love. And we were at Ron's poker night, and it was me, Cruz, and a bunch of dads before Cruz had a kid, and a bunch of dads, and we were the only jiu-jitsu guys there, and they were kind of like, "Oh, you guys do jiu-jitsu? Oh, you guys are black belt? Wow!" And it's funny because like even when we go somewhere to meet someone new, and Angie's always like, "Can you give it 20 minutes before you guys start talking fighting?" And I'll be like, "Babe, I try." But when you meet someone and their partner goes, "So, I hear you do jiu-jitsu and stuff," and they start talking, I'm like, "Yeah, but I hear what do you do?" And they're like, he's like, "I'm an accountant. Who gives a shit?" Anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. My job is way more interesting than yours. Sorry. I have more stories than you do, but feel free to slip in your story about, how Bob in accounting cooks tuna fish in the break room. I'm all about it. And like, we'll talk about strangling Bob. I'll teach you how to choke Bob out. I'll teach you how to ankle lock him." But that's what we do here. Angie works right there. That's her desk, right? And so I always joke around about like Sharon and accounting. I'll come home and be like, "What a day." And she'll be like, "Is this a jiu-jitsu story?" And I'm like, "Of course it is. It's what I do." And then I'll be like, but I won't say it. I'll just be like, "No, freaking Bob in accounting, emailed me, CC'd me in emails he shouldn't have CC'd me on. Jammed up the printer.
Got a little aggressive with per your last email.
Sure, yeah,
like
just that. I'll start trying to do what I think is office talk. And then she'll be like, and then finally she'll be like, "What's the story?" Like, yeah, something way funnier than if she was married to somebody who worked in an office. No offense to office folks, but we get some pretty funny things happening in jiu-jitsu classes, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's because it brings in funny people, or it brings in. I think it's that same thing we brought up earlier. It brings in a lot of people who are just thirsty for life. Maybe I should stop saying thirsty. Hungry for life.
Whatever that is.
Just wants to experience it all. I mean, Bob in accounting, you meet some people who are just, they're okay where they're at. But then, like you were saying, I want it all. I want everything. Like, we're only here for a short time. We're only here there's only so many breaths and heartbeats that we have. I want to see and experience and like, feel everything. You can't do that while you're drunk, or while you're hungover, but that's part of it too, is like going through that process. A lot of people that I find at the gym and even at other gyms, that's like the thing, that's like the red thread with all of them. None of them are boring. None of them are complacent. They all have this urge of unfound potential, or like at least the drive to push themselves and see what they can do, instead of being like, I'm good here, which is a common feeling that I think the majority of people are like, "I did it, I'm good." Mm-hmm. And we're just like, no, it's not good enough.
Yeah, that was one of the actually kind of real life-changing moments was when I was working at Cheetah, and I was doing a really solid job. We weren't.
Cheetah's a gym.
Yeah, Cheetah's a gym in Chicago.
Not a strip club.
No,
it's not a strip club in Atlanta.
Cheetah is a strip club.
It's a strip club in every other town, right? Cheetah Gym, Chicago, Andersonville. Great gym. Had a great boss. She was supported me, and I was teaching like I said, 7 days a week. Things were going really well, and I was I had classes all the time that were, if I had less than 10 people, I thought like my insecurities kicked in. I was like, "What's wrong?" And it's like, it's just a slower day. But in general, I had like 18, 20 people per fitness class, 24 people doing these, again, why not be able to say it? I got to live my truth, right? Of what I was saying at the beginning. I can teach a hell of a fitness class. my other dog's dreaming now. Isn't that the cutest thing in the world?
Do you hear it? There's some puppy dreams going on.
It's the cutest thing in the world. Anyway, hashtag puppy dreams.
See, if I had an editor, they wouldn't keep that. This is the rawness that we're trying to capture.
So before I started teaching fitness classes, I taught on basically a self-prophecy, like straight up lie, where, sure, I've done this job before. Well, no, I hadn't.
Sometimes you have to do that.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. In college, I taught fitness classes. Not exactly true, but one thing that is true was I took a weightlifting class that was like a half a credit, and I was like, good, it's going to make me lift weights. Because again, I was just training and all this stuff, and I was like, oh, cool, I get half a credit for the thing I already know. And the person who taught the class, bless their heart, we were doing some things, and I just remember a couple times where they were like, where we talked, and I was able to tell them a few things that they didn't know. So Yeah, that was the closest I'd ever got to really teaching. That, and in high school, when some guys would work out to me, or work out with me, the joke was for a little bit there that if you were walking up the stairs all wobbly, oh, did you lift with Bender? So that was the only experience I had, was having other younger guys in high school lift weights with me, and all I did was just the programming that the coaches laid out for me, and what I found in a couple of magazines here and there that I, Men's Health or whatever it was back at the time, I don't remember, and followed those programs. Oh, 3x10 of this, then you do this, then you do this. You find out what Arnold did or whatever, and you do that. So then when I came here, and I saw my girlfriend at the time went into a Bally's gym, and a guy walked by with a personal trainer jacket on, and I'm like, that's a real job? I thought that was like only a thing in LA or something. And then I was like, I can do that. Told him that I taught a fitness class all through college, all this stuff. My kickboxing instructor in college, Mr. Kirk Hess, great guy. Before I left, he took out a certificate and wrote, because Muay Thai doesn't have rank. It does not have rank. There's no belt rank. Anyway, it tells you they're a black belt in Muay Thai. You know one thing about them. They're a liar, and they exaggerate things, and you should never believe anything that comes out of their mouth then, because they're telling you a thing that's trying to blow themselves up, and that it's just not a true statement. Done. Not talking to you if you say you have a black belt in Muay Thai, because you're full of shit. Now, there is crew rankings, and you can go over there and do what I did, which is get this certification, and da-da-da. They have a headband and armbands. A headband's called a monkle and all that stuff. But
Monkle.
Yeah, monkle. Yeah.
Monkle.
Yeah, what's that?
I have a monk uncle.
Oh,
and he
monk
comes
uncle?
up a lot.
Yeah.
So he's a monkle.
It's more like a monkle, M-O-N-G-K-L.
Oh, yeah. Monkle.
But anyway.
Oh,
Okay. Then we'll cut
He
that
did.
part out.
He wrote on a piece of paper, Jason Bender, assistant instructor, wrote it on a certificate, and so that I could come into this Crunch Fitness and go, I have this.
So you forged it?
No, I didn't forge it. Mr. Hess wrote out Jason Bender, instructor. He wrote it and he gave it to me. He said, this might help you get a job. And it did. And it was like, he didn't have to do that. It was very nice of him. The equivalent of like saying, because I even told them, I'm like, there's no black belt in Muay Thai, but here's my instructor saying that I can teach classes. And they're like, cool. And then I worked at that gym and studied to get my personal training certification. And then I did that and go on from there.
And now we're here. And now you provided a whole community with a space that they can really challenge themselves in this like heartfelt way that seems like you genuinely care. So you're bringing in this kind of that heart. I think that's the general theme that we're finding here is that same heart that you had as a kid, and all of that. It comes out on the mats, but also in your teaching.
Yeah, I
see that.
I want people to have a good time, and I want people to be really good at it. I mean, I can joke around and say it's for selfish things and just it's all just a cover up for the trauma response. I just want, as a kid who was dorky and alone and all this stuff, like, just to be loved, right? And a tricky way in this job to be loved is to love back, right? In this life, really, is to love back as much as possible, right? Just really, the more you give, the more you get, that kind of, all these things that we can kind of roll our eyes at that look like pillows when you're at somebody's house and you're like, live, laugh, love, shut up.
Yeah.
But freaking live, laugh, love, bro.
Looks great on a wall too.
It does, right? Tattoo. You totally have to get your live, laugh, love lower back tattoo. Right?
I mean, it's bringing in that kind of space, though, I think is what's different than other gyms. And I don't know, I see it in the community that you're building. It is that trauma response. Like I relate with that as well. It's like the reason why I did comedy. It's you're searching for that community, that family. That's what brought me to the bar was like, oh, this is where I'll meet people who will love me.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
And now I really feel like, I've been going to your gym for 2 years now. I've seen it when 6 a.m. class had like 2 people in it. And now we have like 20 people regularly or more. And I think everyone feels that. There's not a single asshole in the bunch that, we call them assholes, but they're in like a fun way.
In a fun way.
But there's no one at the gym. I'm like, fuck, God, this guy's coming in. And I think that's just because that's the vibe. and it's just like this small room with some mats in it, but it's become this like center of a community, which I remember you telling me early on that's what you wanted to do. You wanted to build a community with your gym, not train the best fighters ever, but like have a community of people who are also thirsty for life or like searching for
that
something.
was actually a point that I was going to make earlier. Reminded me of it. Thank you for getting me back on track. Was a person that I made friends with, and I'm still friendly with. She's living her again. The cool thing about this life is we can be friends with people, but not necessarily hang out. Right? Still have all the love for them and all that. Right? She said I was trying to get her to take jiu-jitsu because she was always getting to these places where she was getting bored with working out and all this stuff. And then I was like, you've done the things in exercise and you're still bored. There's one thing left. And she's like, nope, don't want to touch anybody. Okay. I don't want to exercise, period, anymore. Like everything hurts. Like this whole time, my neck hurts. I'm not fidgeting anymore just because of the fidgetiness of myself. Like my neck hurts all the time. I just had an epidural steroid shot in my neck earlier a few months ago. I have a herniated disc in my low back that makes my back hurt all the time.
Yeah, I don't want to do this podcast. I'm actually really bad at tech, and I can't figure this shit out.
It's like, so you're just gonna let your discomfort stop you from enjoying something. Okay, well, guess what? I hate to tell you, but the discomfort is actually one of the big benefits, is diving into that discomfort. Like there's never a time in your life when you're let's go ahead and go there, where you're a cisgendered straight man and another man is straight up teabagging you. Oh, and by the way, that's not the worst thing. You're not even thinking about where his balls are because he's cranking your arm behind your back or trying to choke you unconscious. And not unconscious, by the way. We tap. You're supposed to tap. It's on you if you don't. I recommend tapping. But either way, that's what it's replicating. So you're getting in this position where that's the game. The game is, can I escape this position? Can I even survive against this person? And you forget about the discomfort of, oh yeah. And then, because you have to get past that thing of, oh, I'm touching somebody on their butt. Well, it doesn't matter that you're touching their butt as long as you're not being weird about it, because that's where the hips are. And we control the hips. In a martial arts setting, we win the game. So as long as you have a culture where there's no creeps, and you have it very clear that if anybody's ever uncomfortable, they should let you know, and you vet out the creeps pretty quickly, kind of thing, and let them know that they're not welcome here, then you don't have that as a problem, and you just have an understanding that, hey, in wrestling, they have sayings like "shelf the boys," which means when you go for a single leg takedown, if your forearm is not on their testicles, it is a suboptimal position, because how would you pick up a skeleton? Like you go into the science room and a skeleton is just hanging there, but the rule is you cannot grab the rod that holds up the skeleton. How would you carry it?
Shelf the boys, man.
That's one way.
I'm really glad we don't say that at our gym. I hate that expression.
Blaine does.
Oh, okay.
But we allow him.
But it is about being comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's like putting yourself in that space that, and that's back to sobriety. That is part of getting sober. It is uncomfortable at first.
Uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable being bored.
Yeah.
Boredom is
hard for me when I started.
Man, I hate being bored. Like I am guilty of taking my dogs for a walk and doing my Portuguese lessons on my phone and Spanish lessons on my phone. And as soon as it's time for me to put that phone back in my pocket, because my elderly dogs are done waddling around and I got to carry them up the stairs, do I go with the silence of walking up the stairs? Hell no. There's a podcast going on right now before I pick them up. No, I got to fill the emptiness. No, what am I going to do? What am I going to say to myself that's positive at all? Are you out of your mind? Yeah. Plus I'm going to miss something. The FOMO thing is real, where I want to read every book. I want to watch every movie. I want to listen to every song that is not country. I want to, I want to feel all the feels. Again, that was the joy of partying. I was like, well, I tried this, and this, and I did this, and this.
But then you miss out on the comfort of stillness, the comfort of silence.
Shut up.
The discomfort of silence. Right? The discomfort of stillness, the discomfort of meditation.
You're absolutely right. That is absolutely was the point I was getting to.
It's self-reflection.
Yeah. I do. And now I've been trying this year to slowly work in breath work. There are certain phrases that, especially in this whole thing, that drive me crazy. Like if I ever hear an instructor say the word core more than 3 times in an hour, I want to burn their house down. Things like that, right? You just hear these buzzwords, but there's no other thing to call it other than breath work, right? But these guys like Wim Hof and Andrew Huberman who have these breath work podcast or videos on YouTube, that helps me because again, I need something guided. It's really, yes, there may be a day when I can finally be Rick Rubin and sit in silence with my big beard for an hour at a time. But right now, that ain't happening. And if I can take 10 minutes and go, oh, I can do this Andrew Huberman podcast for 10 minutes in between studying jiu-jitsu videos and playing Madden and, calling a client prospect who emailed me while texting someone who hasn't been around for a while telling a dedicated student that they're doing great and helping them with their game because you don't want them to feel, you don't want the prodigal son thing where you're only paying attention to the students who haven't been here. You got to pay attention to the ones that are giving you the dedication and, then try to have a happy marriage, then take care of 2 dogs that are doing it all on the end. It's, I'm trying to do that. And part of trying to do that has been just simple things like, I'm just going to shut down and play a video game for a while. Now sometimes, then that leads into stop playing video games, clean the house, so it's tough. I get it. It's tough. It's all tough, but
it's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable.
Flipping, going through it and trying to process all of that stuff while also processing your own recovery and emotions and everything like that. It's about moving and keep moving and motivating yourself to keep moving, which I found in jiu-jitsu. It's like I've had some guys smash me and just have all their weight on me, and I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm gonna fucking panic here. Yeah. And that was the first thing I had to learn was, okay, I am panicking.
I purposely, because I saw that one of the things that I wanted you to work on immediately was that. And so I when I saw it, you do it with someone else, and I flat out walked up to you and said, what did I say to you? Do you remember? No. I kind of said, I
used to smoke a lot of weed when I first started. So I
said, you were kind of a bitch right there.
Oh yeah.
I said,
you said that several times.
Yeah. I said, yeah, you kind of bitched out right there. Just to let you know you bitched out. Like you didn't lose. You were a little bitch. And what did I say after that? I said, that's okay. We've done it. We've all been there. That's okay. But understand, we kind of have a thing in jiu-jitsu. You don't tap to pressure. Don't tap to pressure. What that means is, if you're, it's in boxing, it's looked down upon to lose to a body shot. It's, you're supposed to only get knocked out. So if somebody hits you in the body, oh, you were soft. You're soft. Well, in jiu-jitsu, if you tap to somebody just putting pressure on you, you're a laughing stock. That's not
there's a way out. You're not incapacitated.
Or just why'd you tap?
Yeah. I mean, you can squeeze your way out. It's not like they have a
if you could breathe and your limbs weren't being put in a way where something was going to break, why'd you tap?
Yeah.
It's because of, again, you were uncomfortable and you were just, I can't get out. No, guess what you should have done there?
Well, see, that goes back to what you were saying at the beginning, where you can't accept just being still. Mm-hmm. So tapping in life is putting on the podcast. Tapping in life is playing Madden, doing filling your space with all this unnecessary fluff instead of just giving yourself space. To sit. Mm-hmm.
But you can sit with a 300, 250 pound guy on you too. You could find that space in the discomfort. Mm-hmm. And then find a way. There's always on the lesson I think that I've gotten out of it is that there is a way out. I mean, that was something that came from me was I would be in these uncomfortable positions. I'd be freaking out and I would want to tap or scream or cry, mostly cry. And I would be like, okay, now I need to collect myself and sit here for a minute. It's not like he's going anywhere. and find out how to get out of this situation.
So again,
find out like what's the logical thing that I need to do.
You reminded me of a story I was actually starting and I didn't finish. Thank you for bringing it back for me. Was Coach Cruz is as one of the coaches up here says, he's probably one of the Midwest's biggest secrets of grappling, that the guy just knows how to teach people how to grapple. He understands it. He understands jiu-jitsu. And there's been times when I've been getting ready to compete. I'm on the mat and I'm getting ready to step onto the mat. My match is next. And I see Cruz's match start. And I go, oh, I can't watch his match. It's going to get me excited to watch my friend. I'm going to lose all my adrenaline from my match. And I've always had performance anxiety and I still deal with it very much. Even though I've competed for 20 years, I still haven't gotten past that. And I'll be like, okay, just pay attention to your match. And all of a sudden I'll look over and I'll hear, ooh, in Cruz's, in martial arts, when you injure someone, you sit back in a respectful position while the EMTs come over and the referees tend to that person. And I've just seen Cruz going like this because he doesn't want to hurt somebody in competition. He's a super sweet guy, but he is a dangerous man to grapple with. And if you do the wrong things, he's going to either hurt you in competition style. He's going to hurt you if you try to fight him too much, even in jiu-jitsu. And so out of our friends, we all joke. It's easy to joke around about that. Cruz whips all of us. When we were at my friend Ron's poker night, all these dads were like, so out of the three of you, who? And me and Ron are just freaking Cruz. And then Cruz just tells one of my favorite stories of all time. And the only reason I feel like I can tell it is because he's not going to be on your podcast, so I'm going to tell it for him. Is Cruz says, yeah, I'll have Ron in full mount and I'll be choking him and Ron will not tap unless you he's a tough little dude. He's, a little skinny dude. He's just like scrappy. He goes, Ron will not tap until the very last second. And before he taps to me, he will go, this is why you don't have any friends. And they're best friends. They are best. They will stay up as fathers till 4 a.m. playing Red Dead Redemption together. And that's the best. That's what real jiu-jitsu, that's the beauty of it. At what other time could I tell an alien that came down right today and say, these two best friends, one of them was literally a moments away, if he wanted to, from ending his friend's life, ending that man's life. And the man who was getting his ass kicked talked shit right to the other guy's face. It's beautiful.
And then they just hung out later on.
Oh yeah. I mean, They probably showered together that day. Absolutely.
Very intimate.
Not at the gym either. At home.
Yeah. Just holding each other.
But yeah, it's friendships like that are you only forged through hard times.
And discomfort.
I mean, there's no friendships I've ever seen be quite so severe as war veterans, right? Where the joke is there's no enemies in a foxhole. And while, I don't really want to glorify the military industrial complex and all that. If you talk to veterans though, who it's talk about a bond when you're in those experiences. Well, we don't necessarily want to replicate that. Of course, we would like to live our regular lives and not be in combat. But experiencing that together, Ron came in to visit today because I was giving out a mutual friend's belt, and he's like, I gotta go, and I'm like, you got to roll for me, and he's like, yes, I do, because yes, he had to go. But he also was going to tell his family, no, I got to roll with. I'm running late because I had to roll with Jason and take some pictures and all that stuff. Because it's a different kind of friendship.
It's that shared journey. It's forged together. Yeah, and it's just it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's that there's that certain similar motivation. Everyone is on the mat for a reason, for an intention. It's not like they stumbled on. And
I mean, the guys that were at the gym when Ron and I started were just savages. They were absolute, and as a compliment, they were just these guys. One of the guys went on to be in The Ultimate Fighter. The late great Stephan Bonner was training with us. If you don't know who that is, he was a fighter who took, when the UFC was kind of dying, they did a reality show, and that reality show, the finals of that reality show was two guys fighting, Forrest Griffin, Stephen Bonner, and they had a fight that they even have like statistics on. In the middle of it, people were calling each other and they were changing channels to watch this fight. They had a fight so big that it changed martial arts history and made the UFC like, whoa. Boom. It's an amazing thing. He was on our team.
So that's hard.
Several of the guys that were on this team now own the jiu-jitsu academies around Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, so several of them have won European and world championships and all these things, you know. So like me and Ron were just these skinny guys who liked martial arts movies growing up and didn't wrestle in college, didn't do judo or anything, just getting our asses kicked. And they were like, we were just feed for these savages, and we would just keep coming back and going, what a freaking asshole, right? Like, just, you're not going to show me anything. You're just going to kick my ass. I guess it's just the way it is. This sucks. We're like, yeah, man, this sucks. You want to try to murder each other? Hell yes. And then we would, 20 years later, we're still friends.
Just bond over that experience. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it has been over 20 years.
I mean, it's community of kind of a shared experience. It's almost, I don't know. It's kind of, Tom, just to bring you into it a little bit with your experience with church. Like this is where I find, to me, church has always been community. It's not, there is like a spiritual sense to it, of course, but the biggest advantage of it is a centralized community. And that's what we're describing here, is this like everyone is here searching or looking for something internally to come out. And at least that's how I find at your gym with jiu-jitsu, at least. And it's kind of like you're saying, this shared experience, this shared drive, this shared motivation, or whatever it is that, you know,
it's like a gathering.
Yeah, it is.
Juggalo word again. Is this all
whoop,
about
whoop. Whoop. All right. I think we're going to call it. That's Jason Bender. You want to give your specs?
Yeah, sure. If you're in the Chicago area ever, even if you're just visiting, even if you're not into jiu-jitsu normally, if you just like, dude, I don't do jiu-jitsu, but I'm in town for the weekend and just to have something to do because you're trying to do that sober life and you just want to do something fun, come and hang out. I'll show you how to not let a bad guy hold on to you for a little bit, and maybe choke somebody unconscious if you want. But it's bendermartialarts.com. Bender, it depends on your age. Either Bender from the Breakfast Club or Bender from Futurama.
I thought you were saying different. The websites were different depending on. You have like an 18+ website.
No. Funny. That's funny. Instantly, I'm like ready for the SNL sketch of that. Right? Like, here's the website for the kids' parents, all this stuff. Here's for everybody else. Mm-hmm. Well, jokes do change depending on who's in the room at the academy. I'm just going to say that. But bendermartialarts.com. We're here in the Andersonville neighborhood of Chicago, which has been voted the #1 neighborhood in America, second best neighborhood in the world.
Suck it, Decatur.
Yeah. And that's it. If you want to reach out to me, just ask me some questions. Feel free to do that. I'll find a way in between Madden and taking care of the dogs to answer any questions for you. If you're interested in martial arts and you're like, hey, I live in this town, what do you think of this academy? Of course, there's so many, I might not have an opinion on it, but if there might be a chance that I know somebody, who knows? Or at minimum, I would be more than happy to reach out to that instructor. And it would be nothing more than another friendship that I would make with another academy owner and say, hey, this person's really hesitant or like, you know, whatever it is, to shy about joining a martial arts academy. Could you give a little extra TLC? And then this academy owner could be ready for someone who's maybe in a little more fragile state of life, to go try something that is pretty damn scary. You walk into a jiu-jitsu room, and I understand why most people would be like, nope, somebody's going to be sweating in my face. No, you know, like I grew up an only child, as did Angie. I kind of think other people are freaking gross. I don't like touching other people most of the time. I think most people are pretty dirty. Mm-hmm. And at the cleanest, we're shedding skin every day and gross things like that. So
That's not the Jorts rhetoric I would have expected.
Yeah,
honestly.
But you suck it up and you end up giving sweaty hugs, and your best friends end up sweating in your mouth, and it's the part of your day you look forward to the most. And you're like, even if in your head you're going, nope, 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 never. I kind of got to say, give it 6 months, because you might not like the first class, you might not even like the second class, but sometimes things like this, you got to work through it. And that will be working through that discomfort and just giving it a shot, right? I mean, I always ask people when they say they don't want to do this, and I'm like, do you want to pay your rent? Do you want to pay your mortgage? Do you want to take out your garbage? Do you want to go to work? Do you want to, like, there's a whole lot of things we don't want to do, but we do it because of the effect of the thing. Motivation is a lie. Motivation is, when people write back and they're like, oh, I'm just not motivated to come in, I remind them that motivation is a fake thing. It's a lie. It's not even a word you should use in your vernacular for the most part, because then you pretend it's like this Harry Potter type elixir. I don't wake up motivated ever.
Yeah, I don't like it because the opposite is being demotivated, and it's like, it's okay to not.
I'm not motivated anymore to do jack squat.
Yeah, I don't.
You do the thing. You do the thing. You just do the damn thing. It's called discipline. And it's again tough medicine to take sometimes when somebody tells you that, like, oh, you're not motivated. Like, I tell people, I'm like, I've achieved my dream. I have an academy 10 minutes down the road where people are doing my favorite thing. I don't want to go most of the time. Like, why is that? That's weird, but as soon as of course, it's the thing where as soon as I walk in the door and the people that I like are there, I'm having a great time. But that duvet is comfortable AF, bro.
Yep. That's the hardest thing, is getting away from the duvet.
Whoop,
we
whoop.
talk about that a lot on the podcast. Yeah. All right, guys, that's Jason Bender. And I'm here with Tom, and keep listening to the podcast. We'll be coming out with more. Follow us on Instagram, and I think we actually have a TikTok now, and we are on YouTube. So look for us on all the things, and tell your friends. And we'll have Angie as our next guest in our next episode. So take it easy, be kind to yourself, and see you later. You want to sign off, Tom?
Bye.
Quality sign off.